At Gen Con, Wizards of the Coast announced their new roadmap for all of the products they release until the end of 2027. And at every Gen Con, they're going to be doing this again. What does this mean for us as fans? So let me take this roadmap and embiggen it for a second. When you look at this roadmap, you will see, of course, the different seasons, right? Season of Magic we're currently in right now. And we're going to have Arcana Unleashed come out, and we'll have some D&D Beyond releases and so on. Then we're going to have the Season of Champions with that Universes Beyond World of Warcraft partnership. Then we're going to have Dark Sun. Yay, I love Dark Sun. Hopefully it's really good. And then we're going to have a Greyhawk release with an adventure written by Will Doyle and Stacey Allen, two of my favorite adventure designers. I mean, incredible. I know whatever they've touched has got to be incredible. And then we're going to have this Season of Rebellion that I discussed in my last video covering Star Wars. We don't know a lot about what that's like, but it's really, has the opportunity to be incredible, as things like Saga have been back when that came out. And I enjoyed playing Mon Calamari and trying to do that voice for about 6 hours of continual play. True story. So what I wanted to chat about is how this season works, which may or may not be clear to you, depending on what you've listened and whether you listen to Mastering Dungeons, where my partner in crime, Sean, and I chat about all the industry happenings. Check us out at Mastering Dungeons. But the way a season works, right, is at the beginning of it, it's what it really is a launch of marketing, right? This is a marketing focused season, though it impacts us fans, right? It's not just marketing, but it's based around that. So Arcana Unleashed season, the Season of Magic, is on now. What that means for us is we as fans are hearing about what it will be in it, right? We're told, it's going to have a Gazetteer of Thay, and there are these many subclasses and these many new spells and all of that. Really cool, really interesting and neat, but only partway through the season do we really start to get our hands on anything. Primarily what we get is if you go to a store that's running D&D encounters, you get to actually play with the actual season components. So timing-wise, right, we are in the Season of Magic, and we know that Arcana Unleashed and Arcana Unleashed Deadfall, the adventures supporting it, are going to come out. Copies were already being sold at Gen Con last weekend. That was, the very beginning of August, end of July. But the books will be available September 15th or September 1st for an early access store. D&D Encounter Celebration event to kick off the season starts on September 4th. So you may be interested in seeing that timing, right? Like, it's the Season of Magic, but what we're doing is talking about what might be in the book. And it's really at the beginning of September that you're looking at that early access and being able to have that book, right? That's really fascinating. Similarly, when it comes to Dark Sun, you see it there in that second season or third season of survival after the Warcraft season. What does that mean? Well, it's somewhere between February and July. So in February, we're going to be really talking about Dark Sun as the marketing kind of effort shifts from World of Warcraft. And we're going to be talking about what's in the books and probably get more sneak previews. And on D&D Beyond, you'll probably be able to download some things. But it's really only partly through that. Maybe it's going to be in late June that a D&D Encounter season would start. And then it'll be end of June, July, something like that you actually get your hands on the book. And around that time, it's time for the Greyhawk Sword and Sorcery season to begin. And similarly, once Swords and Sorcery, the book, the Greyhawk book, is in your hands, that adventure, it'll be time to talk about Season of Rebellion. So what I wanted to point out, right, is that it's really interesting to me the way this works fan-wise. As a fan, you might think, I'm hearing about Dark Sun. I'd like to tell Wizards what I want to see. So first, that never works. I can tell you the Dark Sun book's been written for quite some time, I'm sure of it. And so not only is it not that you can give feedback in February of next year, you can't give feedback now, except to maybe impact future projects that aren't even on this map, because they're probably working at the very end of this map, maybe a little bit on the one before it, but probably those things are largely the direction of those is set. Any feedback you give the company is for something that's not on this image. That's where you can both be giving feedback somewhat on what you want to see, though even that's hard to shape, but what you would like to see in products, right? What you liked about Arcana Unleashed that can factor into what the company does in the future. And that's hard to kind of grasp as a fan, especially as you start getting really excited about things, right? You're a Dark Sun fan and you start hearing about, oh, mature, and maybe you like that or don't like that. Well, it's going to be what it's going to be. In fact, has been that way for many months before you probably heard about it. That is a really interesting cycle, right? Which I think has an impact on us as fans in that it's easy to get, I don't know, negative or feel like you want to give feedback or tell everybody what something should be, but you can't really shape that. And you actually don't know what it is until you get it in your hands, right? And so it's going to be difficult and interesting for fans to go through this cycle of you see snippets of Arcana Unleashed. You want to offer your opinion because it's the internet, but we're only getting it at the end of that month, right? It's for all these months that we talk about Arcana Unleashed, it's September when we really get to see it, right? For all that we might think about Dark Sun, it's July of next year when we get to talk about it, kind of a year from now, right? 11 months from now, 10 months from now is really when we get to start seeing what's in that book. That's a lot as a fan to kind of grasp, right? And that's really kind of the biggest message I wanted to bring across. Like, yeah, it's cool to see these seasons. I think there are a lot of interesting angles. Like, for example, these seasons, this is a wide net that's being cast, right? This is not trying to make a product, four products that you, the fan, will like, or four product types, because there's always map packs and minis and all kinds of other things under here. But this is not what that's trying to do, right? My partner, Sean, on the podcast, he said, hey, this is not, the D&D is so big that D&D is no longer just making everything for the same person. It's making it for lots of different people. And so you as an individual fan will like some of these, right? Which is actually okay because, hey, if you're going to run Deadfall, the Arcana Unleashed adventure, you're probably going to be busy running that through half of the year. So it's okay that you're not picking up Warcraft or just reading it or thumbing through it, right? That's okay. Or maybe you're running just a quick dungeon in it, right? Rather than a big campaign with it. And maybe you do the same thing for Dark Sun. You just run a short adventure to kind of have fun or play at your D&D Encounter store, but you don't necessarily have to do the whole thing. Or maybe you don't care for Arcana Unleashed Deadfall, but you really love Dark Sun, and then you're going to do Star Wars, right? This is what the kind of idea is behind the roadmap as I see it. We're not being told all of this is for you, some of this for you, because we're giving you so much, right? And this doesn't even include all of the partnered content, right? That third thing down below, there's also D&D Beyond, like drops and so on. But I think those are small enough that it's just sort of additional fun stuff. But the partnered content, right? Where Luke Gygax might come out with a Greyhawk book. Kobold Press is going to come out with a yearly Forgotten Realms book. And we talk about all the partner program in this week's Mastering Dungeons. Definitely check that out. But, if Tracy Hickman and Laura Hickman and Margaret Weiss, if they come up with a Dragonlance year release, right? You as a fan of that particular setting might be really driven by that, right? Every year getting that Dragonlance book, every year getting that Eberron book. Those partnerships could be a big part of your play. Or maybe they aren't at all because you just want the main kind of Dark Sun, Greyhawk, whatever, and then you can leave those worlds behind. That is up to you, right? So there are a lot of different ways to intersect with what D&D is. When they say a new dawn of Dungeons & Dragons up there, they mean that in a lot of different ways. So it'll be very interesting to see how this plays out for me, for you, for the overall fan base, and how that then drives, hopefully, lots of people coming into the hobby. Many will stay as D&D fans. Many will go on to play other kinds of games. Some will just exit entirely. I find this all really, really fascinating. So I hope this has been a thought-provoking video as to what that season model for D&D is really doing and how it works. You hopefully learn a bit about how it works or reinforce what you already knew. But it's really going to shape how you as an individual fan and all of us as collective fans interact with D&D and the rest of the hobby. I'm really curious to see how that pans out. Let me know your thoughts about what you think about the seasonal approach. What's it like to get to hear about an adventure and start off a season, but only get the thing at the end, right? You by the time you get your hands on Dark Sun, we're going to start talking about the next season. Is that cool? Is that all right? It's an interesting cycle. Let me know what you think. And if you're doing D&D encounters, let me know what you think about those various seasons being at the store level. Thanks so much to everybody who makes these videos possible via my Patreon, via support on my blog. I really, really thank everybody who shares my links. Thank you for that. Truly, truly. And I'll see you next time.